Missiles are flying. Somewhere, right now, an actual war just started. You open your portfolio app, already wincing, ready to watch your retirement account paint itself red. It's green. Up 1%. Up 2%. Up that can't be right percent. You check the headline again. Yep. War, a real one. People are dying right now. This minute, on actual television. You check your portfolio again. Still green. For a second you feel something you didn't expect to feel today. Guilty. Like you accidentally found money in a dead man's coat pocket. That's not a glitch. That's not your broker messing with you. That's just Tuesday, apparently, for the stock market. So here's the question nobody answers. Honestly, if war is the worst thing humans do to each other, why does the thing that's supposed to measure how well humans are doing go up? Your first theory is the obvious one, the ugly one. Maybe Wall Street just wants this. Maybe somewhere in a glass tower, a guy in a blue tie is popping champagne. Because bonds are good for business. That theory is comforting, honestly. It gives you a villain, a guy to be mad at. Problem is, it's wrong. Or at least it's not the whole story. And the real answer is so much weirder than rich people are evil. It's almost disappointing. Rewind to January 17th, 1991. America and a coalition are about to start bombing Iraq. Everyone knows it's coming. It's been on the news for months. The night the bombing actually starts, the real first night of a real war, the Dow doesn't crash, it jumps. 4.6% in one day. One of the biggest single-day gains the market had seen in years. The bombs were real. So was the champagne, apparently. Okay, so maybe the rule is simple. War makes stocks go up. Write that down. We're done here. Except a different decade, a different war. September 11th, 2001. The market doesn't even open that day. It can't. Wall Street is 6 blocks from the actual crime scene. When it finally reopens, 6 days later, the Dow doesn't jump. It falls. 7%. In a single day. The worst one-day point drop in its history at the time. It keeps falling for a week. Nearly 14% gone before it stops. So, which is it? Does war make the market go up, or does it make the market collapse? Because you just watched it do both. Here's where it gets dumber. February 24th, 2022. Russian tanks cross into Ukraine. Full invasion. The kind of headline that makes you put your coffee down. The S&P 500 opens that morning and immediately drops over 2.5%. Red everywhere. Exactly what you'd expect. Then, same day, same war, same tanks still rolling. It claws all the way back and closes green. Up over 1%. The war didn't pause, the tanks didn't turn around for lunch. The only thing that changed was nothing. And yet the number flipped from panic to profit before the closing bell. Here's the part they don't teach you, and it's going to ruin the news for you a little. The stock market was never a scoreboard for is this good or is this bad. It can't read a casualty count and feel something. The market is a poker player, the best one in the room. It doesn't react to whether the card is good or bad. It reacts to whether the card was the one it expected. A war you saw coming for months, already priced in. Already bled out of the stock price weeks before the first shot. By the time the bombs actually drop, the worst case scenario stops being a scary unknown and becomes a known, bounded, finally countable fact. And the market, weirdly, relaxes. Uncertainty was the thing scaring it, not the war, the not knowing. A surprise war is a different animal. Nobody priced in a building collapsing on live television before breakfast. There was no warning, no months of dread already baked into the price. Just raw, unscripted shock. And the market does what you'd do if someone jumped out at you in a parking lot. It doesn't calmly assess the situation. It runs. But that's only half of it. There's a second engine running underneath, and it's the one that actually explains why markets don't just stabilize after a war. They often go on a tear. Stock prices aren't really a measurement of is the world good right now. They're a bet on two things. How much money companies will make in the future, and how expensive it is to borrow money to bet on that future. That second part is where it gets interesting. Every time the world panics, war, pandemic, crash, doesn't matter. Central banks do the same thing. They make borrowing cheap. Interest rates drop. The Federal Reserve floods the system with money looking for somewhere to go. And money that's looking for somewhere to go finds the stock market every single time. So zoom out. Not your portfolio, not one index, the actual history of the last 100 years. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan. Every one of them gets followed eventually by some of the strongest stock market stretches on record, not despite the chaos. Partly because of the cheap money that chaos always seems to unlock. And here's the part that should make you a little uncomfortable, because it made me uncomfortable writing it. The index going up doesn't mean the war was good for anyone. It doesn't mean the world got richer. Homes got destroyed. People did not get their decades back. The stock market isn't measuring human flourishing. It never was. It's measuring 40 or 50 of the biggest companies in one country, and whether their future profits got cheaper to borrow against this week. That's it. That's the whole instrument. You've been reading a thermometer and calling it a conscience. Here's the part most people miss entirely. The market went up, is doing a lot of lying by omission. It's an average, and averages hide casualties. Defense contractors don't have an abstract relationship with war. They have a direct one. Their entire business model is, governments need to buy more of what we make, right now. Their stock prices jumped close to 20% within weeks of recent invasions starting. Energy companies caught the same updraft, because war near oil routes means oil gets more expensive, and somebody is profiting off your gas station bill going up. Meanwhile, the index average smooths all of that into one tidy green number, like it's all one story. It's not. A handful of sectors are throwing a party. Everyone else is just paying the cover charge. At the pump, at the grocery store, doom scrolling at 2 a.m. So what do you actually do with any of this? You're not running a hedge fund. You're not deciding when central banks cut rates. You're just a person with a phone, a portfolio, and a bad habit of refreshing the news during scary headlines. Here's the useful, slightly unsettling truth. The market was never going to tell you how to feel about the news. It's not built for that job. It's built to price in expectations. And expectations move fastest the moment uncertainty resolves, for better or worse. Not morality, not patriotism, not evil men in towers cheering destruction. Just a calm poker player at a very large table constantly asking one question, did I already know this was coming? Which means the next time a scary headline hits, and your portfolio doesn't crash the way your gut says it should, that's not the market being heartless. That's the market telling you something you can actually use. It already saw this coming, weeks ago while you were still doom scrolling. So picture it again. Missiles are flying. Somewhere, right now, an actual war is happening. You open your portfolio app, ready to wince. It's green. This time you don't feel guilty. You don't feel confused. You just exhale a little, because you finally know what that green number is actually telling you. And it's not what the headlines want you to believe. It's not telling you the war is fine. It's not telling you to stop caring. It's telling you that somewhere, weeks or months ago, the worst version of this story already got priced in, and the part that's left, the actual human cost, was never something a stock chart was built to show you in the first place. That same poker player is still sitting at the table tonight, still doesn't blink, still doesn't care if the news is good or bad, only if it was expected. It was never rooting for the war. It was never rooting against you either. It was just doing the only thing it knows how to do, reading the room, waiting for the next card. Look, I'm not going to pretend any of this makes it feel okay. It doesn't, and it shouldn't. Markets going up during wars is not a feel-good story. It's just a true one. Understanding how the number actually works is the only way to stop letting it confuse you, or guilt you, every time the headlines get scary. If you want the next one of these the second it's out, you know what to do.